The Bad Boys podcast is brought to you by Iconic Motor House, the guys making your motoring fantasies a reality. Visit iconicmotorhouse.com.
Today on the show, Spotify CEO gets served by Eminem while Scomo gets served by a schoolboy.
We go surfing with the alien because Joe Satriani is in the house.
And Disney is getting dodgy as fuck.
All that and more on the Bad Boys podcast.
If you want the hard-hitting journalism of Four Corners, the reliable current affairs of, well, a current affair, and the planning that goes into classy shows like The Project, then you've tuned into the wrong podcast. It's comedy, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and news stories that makes Fox News sound like an episode of The Muppets. Or maybe it's the other way around. Conversations no one wants to have, but everyone wants to hear. This is the Bad Boys Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Bad Boys Podcast, and Andrew can barely control himself. One of his favorite artists is joining us today on the show. Incredible. Joe Satriani.
I am pumped. I've got to say, I just can't wait to get into it. I'm so excited. I hope I don't come across as some kind of dickhead, bloody wannabe fanboy or anything like that. But you know what? Look, the guy we're speaking to today, Joe Satriani, is nothing short of an epic legend. He is the most successful instrumental music rock guy in the world. Without doubt. World.
Absolutely. And he taught so many people how to play the guitar. Right. I mean, oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
look, I just can't wait. I can't wait to get into it. It's going to be huge.
No, okay, me either. But there's another music thing that's happening that has been happening for quite some time, actually. So apparently a federal judge has just reportedly ordered Spotify CEO Daniel Ek to sit for a deposition in this massive copyright lawsuit over Eminem's music. Now, this has been going on, right, for, I think, 2019. So, in 2019, a company called 8 Mile Style, right, which is essentially Eminem's publishing company, filed a suit against Spotify for streaming Eminem's music not just a few times, but billions of times without obtaining the proper mechanical licenses. So Lose Yourself, the song that everyone knows from 8 Mile, apparently Spotify hasn't got the right agreement with 8 Mile Style to play the music, for people to stream the music on Spotify.
See, that's interesting because I wonder whether, because radio stations don't need an agreement.
No, but they pay a license fee, right? Right,
and then they can play whatever they want, blah blah blah. And
so what has actually happened in this is that it was supposed to just stop the problem, but Spotify then ignored the law's requirements and just continued on business as usual. So they're now, looking at being sued for infringement. So what Eminem said was, well, you know what? I want Daniel Ek, the CEO, to appear in court to tell me what is actually going on with my music. So,
fair enough.
I want
to appear. The CEO, he's the boss. He's the boss, top of the pyramid, so to speak. So he's the one responsible.
Well, Daniel Ek said, I don't have time for this annoying lawsuit. This deposition is just simply to harass and annoy me because I'm a very busy man.
Very important. Very important. How dare they?
Very important person.
What a dick. I mean, seriously. And look, we all know there's nothing a judge loves more than being told that, he's irrelevant, annoying, bothersome. He really loves it, particularly
exactly
when
exactly.
Very important, very special, very rich people, say that they just don't have time for it.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that Lose Yourself has been one of the most successful songs in history, in music history, right? Sure. Lose Yourself, right?
Sure. It's on my playlist.
It's on everyone's playlist. And even if you're not a rap lover, you still know the song. I mean, everyone knows the song. Yeah. Now, the thing that I want to know is, if they're not going to bring Daniel Ek up to talk about what Spotify has done, and he's the CEO, who do they get up? I mean, who's he going to blame? Who's he going to pass the blame to? Because I reckon he's going to pass the blame to the millions of punters out there that have been streaming the songs.
Yeah, look, he can't pass the blame. I mean, the punters are not responsible for Spotify not getting their documentation in check.
Exactly.
And not getting the right approvals and all that stuff. The big question, I think, that might be really rattling Spotify is what happens if Eminem's successful in this lawsuit? What precedent does it set for the possibly thousands of other artists that they also don't have the right approvals in place for?
Yeah. And I think that's probably the biggest concern because, there's talk in the industry that Spotify are not paying the artists according to, what they actually,
right.
But
and look, I wouldn't be surprised because who can prove? How do you prove that your song has played 4 million times as opposed to 1 million times?
You can't.
How do you prove that? You can't.
Yeah. And to make it worse, 250 songs in the catalog. In Eminem's catalog are up on Spotify. 250 songs. And I'll guarantee you that if someone presses play on an Eminem song, that they're going to put that into a playlist of other Eminem songs. Sure. I mean, this is going to be
It'll be really interesting
trial. Well, look, we're not going to know until September 2023, but here we go. Because that's when...
Watch this space, and Bad Boys will definitely come back to this one for you as soon as we know more because I don't know about you, mate, but I'm definitely going to be watching.
Absolutely. So, but one case that we won't have to wait until 2023 to find out about, because I think we'll find out probably next month, is whether Scomo is going to get booted out after the serving that he got from a schoolboy.
Right, yeah. So Scomo got served by Leo Puglisi. So Leo Puglisi is a 14-year-old boy who, I got to say, handled himself extraordinarily maturely. So he had to tell his teachers that he couldn't be there for part of his school day because he had an interview with the Prime Minister, which, of course, they weren't surprised about.
Now, hey, that's a good one to get out of school, isn't it, hey?
Right. Hey, isn't that fabulous? That's right. But it's a funny thing, right? Politicians sometimes complain about being asked the hard questions.
Yeah.
The simple fact of the matter remains, if Scomo wasn't a compulsive liar, then this kid wouldn't have had anything to pin him on. So the kid was basically saying to him, you've shown time and time again through your actions that you are just lying all the time. How does that make you feel? How do you feel about that? And of course, Scomo said, "Oh no, I never lied. I never lied. I didn't say that. I didn't say that." Now, the interesting thing about the video I've seen is Scomo says, "Oh no, I never said that," and then the video immediately cuts to the footage of Scomo saying exactly what the young lad is saying. Like, it's
7
fucking
times.
Comedy gold. It's great.
He didn't call the China. What was the guy that he slurred off against?
Shanghai
Sam.
Shanghai Sam.
I didn't call him Shanghai Sam. But hang on, you called him Shanghai Sam 7 times. No, I never called him Shanghai Sam. And then they showed the footage. It's brilliant.
All footage in different environments, press releases, in Parliament, all these different places where he was using the term Shanghai Sam. And part of the argument was, why is it not racist for you to say the word Shanghai Sam, but it's racist for someone else to say something else about someone else?
Yeah,
that is racist.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all about Liberal versus Labor and all of that bullshit. But you know what? I tell you, this kid's got definitely a future in media, particularly drilling politicians and stuff. Scomo, I don't get it. Like, everybody who's listened to the show knows that we carry on about Scomo quite a bit. He's the Australian leader. The guy is an A-class dickhead. He really is.
Absolutely dickhead. Absolutely.
Look, if I was a therapist, I'd probably be using words like sociopath, narcissist, all this other sorts of stuff. It is clear as day to me. And all of these people are coming out of the woodwork to basically say what a bully he is, what a liar he is. We've even got, prime ministers or presidents from other countries calling him a liar.
Well, the day that all this happened
as well, particularly over the AUKUS deal and various other things.
Yeah, the day that all this happened with the school kid, there were two other instances that also came to the forefront. One was a girl that cornered him when he was doing his rounds at the pub. This girl cornered him and said, "Oh, can I get you for my social media?" And he's like, "Yeah, no worries." And she goes on social media, live on social media, launches with the question, "So, how does it feel to be the most hated Prime Minister in Australia in history?" It's like...
And she did it with a smile too. It was fucking beautiful. Really, she needs to run for Prime Minister. She does. Exactly. That was gold.
Now, the one that I really felt for, and I've got a snippet of the video there. But this angry pensioner. Let me play this.
You work it out. 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for 5 years. What's that work out? That's how much money I've saved the government.
Well, look, I'm happy to pass anything on.
Hey, you ring your mobs up and you don't even return the call.
We're talking, you've come here to...
I don't give a shit about you. You're getting... Hey, I'm paying a death tax every week. Remember you went in the last election changed it?
Look, basically what has happened with this, and I really feel for this guy. So this guy is a miner. He's 73.
You're like a coal miner, works in the mines.
Yep. So he worked for 30 years before retiring. He then received, so he said, "You better fucking do something." As Morrison walked away, "You better fucking do something. I'm sick of your bullshit." Right?
Yeah.
Now, he received a weekly compensation through the Dust and Disease Division of iCare. You think, okay, he's getting an extra $200 a week to compensate, right, for his disability as a result of a dust disease that he contracted in the workplace, in the mine.
$200 a week's going to do nothing.
To make it worse, though, that payment has eaten away into his pension, with $200 deducted from his pension because of the additional income. Now, that's pretty fucked up. He's got prostate cancer. He's got tumours, asbestos tumours. He's being ignored by everyone. So
because they're just waiting for him to die, thinking.
So why wouldn't he be upset? Quite frankly, why wouldn't he be upset?
And this is the problem I've got. Not just the government lying all the time, like all the time. Anybody who says to me that the government doesn't lie to us on a daily basis, honestly, just hasn't been paying attention.
Exactly.
But when you've got people that have paid their taxes their entire life, just constantly getting screwed by the government, when the government's happy to hand out money in spades.
Yeah.
You could get into the argument of the amount of aid that we provide overseas. And don't get me wrong, I actually think that the aid that's provided overseas is a good thing.
Yeah,
because it helps you shore up relationships.
Bring it back here. What about the aid that was provided during COVID?
We should be looking after our people properly.
Okay, but
particularly
come on.
Our pensioners. They're the one that's been paying the tax that's got the country to where it is at the moment.
But hang on. What happened during COVID, right? When the payments came out for COVID, every man and his dog who had an ABN who was smart, and some people we know, maybe even 2 or 3 ABNs, claimed a COVID payment, right? How does it help a guy like this that's struggling because he's lost $200 a week?
Right. Yeah, and this is part of the issue. This is what happens when the system is broken and basically government departments don't speak to each other. If there should be a rule in there somewhere that if he is getting money in addition to his pension, and that money is as a result of medical compensation or whatever the thing is, that it shouldn't be impacting a pension. It should be extra.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, you know what?
'Cause it's
Good
not
on
income.
him for confronting Morrison. Good on him.
Yeah, I agree, particularly at the pub, particularly when Morrison was only interested in doing nice little happy things where he walks around and makes people shake his hand because nobody actually really wants to.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, you know what I feel like doing? I'd love to go to wherever Morrison turns up and stuff like that and put an electric buzzer in my hand. You know those old things where when someone shakes your hand, it electrocutes them?
Yeah.
I'd love to do that and just say, no, mate, I don't want to shake your hand. And when he forces the matter, he gets electrocuted and find out, well, I told you I didn't want to do it. You know, I knew it was for your safety, but you're a fuckwit, so.
But see, this is the thing, right? Everyone knows when he's lying because his lips are moving. And, you know, like that's his telltale sign.
Yeah. And because he's a sociopathic narcissist, one, he doesn't have empathy for anyone. He's not quite capable. Yeah. But also he's a compulsive liar because narcissists believe that, of course, because they say it, it is true, despite the fact it's really not.
Yeah.
And it's, look, the fact that I can't believe he got elected last time.
Me either. But he didn't get elected.
I honestly hope. I hope federal Liberal has a better landslide against them. A bigger landslide against them that happened in Adelaide, which was massive.
Hang on. Who elected him? Apart from his local electorate.
Everybody he bought off.
No.
He bought off the unions. He provided money up and down the coast and stuff like that for all of the contentious seats. He bought people off.
But did we vote him in to become Prime Minister? No, we didn't.
Not initially, no. But then
by default.
Soon after that, there was an election and he got re-elected.
I don't remember that election. I seriously don't remember it.
I was gobsmacked about it. He overthrew Turnbull, and then he sat in the next election, and Liberals won more seats. There was none of this hung parliament stuff.
Wow.
Liberals won hands down more seats because they went and bought everybody off.
Yeah, that's crazy. The
sports rorts scandal was a large part of that.
Well, there you go. We've got a Prime Minister that hopefully won't get through on this next election.
I genuinely hope there's a massive landslide against the Liberals because they're due it, basically.
Are you talking about a theoretical landslide, or are you talking about an actual landslide?
I'm hoping there's an actual landslide. No, I genuinely hope that they're all standing there doing a presser and stuff like that, and literally God rains mud and rocks and dirt down on top of them, and they all get buried.
Perfect.
Best thing that had happened to the country.
Well, one of the best things that's happening to us right now is Joe Satriani. We have him coming on very shortly. But before we do, let's play one of his tracks from his new album, The Elephants of Mars. You're hearing it first right here on the Bad Boys Podcast.
You ever been cruising down the main street with your mates only to be laughed at by the gorgeous girls passing you by? Well, maybe you need to get your own ride and leave your mum's Camry at home. Turning your cruising dreams into a reality has never been easier than it is now with Iconic Motorhouse. Regular draws, limited numbers, and access to special and unique deals from over 4,500 popular brands. They don't do Camrys, they only give away real men's cars, eye-catching cars that'll get them purring like a pussycat. So don't be a turkey. Go to iconicmotorhouse.com, choose how many tickets you want, and for a limited time, they'll increase your odds. It's never been easier to win a customised showpiece that will get their attention. iconicmotorhouse.com, giving you the opportunity to fulfill your motoring fantasy.
This is the Bad Boys Podcast. Welcome back to the Bad Boys. Well, with 19 albums and 35 years in the business, Joe Satriani has been nominated for 15 Grammys, has had over 10 million albums sold, inspired to play guitar after the passing of Jimi Hendrix. Joe Satriani taught guitar to Kirk Hammett from Metallica, David Bryson from Counting Crows, and most famously, Steve Vai. Now, with a fascination for space and acclaimed albums like Not of This Earth, Surfing with the Alien, Is There Love in Space, Satriani is back and continuing his space theme with a brand new album released this week, The Elephants of Mars. Joe Satriani, welcome to the Bad Boys Podcast.
Wow, thank you, Bad Boys. I love that intro. That is great.
And that's all we have time for.
That's right. Who is that guy, Satriani? Oh, my God.
Now, I got to say, mate, I am so excited to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Look, I'm actually a really big fan. I saw you in concert in what I can only remember as the late 80s at the Canberra School of Music, of all places.
Oh,
and it was a small, a relatively intimate kind of theatre. There was only a couple of hundred in there. And I still remember it as clear as day. And that was the first time I'd ever seen anybody play a dual neck guitar, both necks at the same time. And it blew me away.
oh. Wow. I'm shocked. I'm trying to remember, but I've played so many gigs that I guess some of them go by the wayside.
Right. I loved it. And I've loved your music for, 30 odd years, 35 odd years. I first fell in love with Surfing with the Alien because I went on a uni camp. I was doing a Bachelor of Arts at uni. We went on a camp for a week, which effectively resulted in 4 days out in the bush somewhere getting stoned, right, to be honest with you. Anyway, we brought 2 CDs with us. We were that well-organised uni students, and one of them was actually, even back then, it was probably even a tape, but we had Surfing with the Alien, and it just literally played on repeat constantly. Wow. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Well, I remember 88 as the first time I visited Australia, and I was playing with Mick Jagger. So it was just a fantastic way to get welcomed by a new country and to have the best of times. Yeah. Playing with Mick and visiting each city. And we always had so much time in every city, which was great. Wow, what a trip that was. That year in general, I mean, just the release. It's funny, you mentioned Kirk Hammett. Kirk was the last person I gave lessons to around the first week of January of 88.
Yeah.
He went off to continue working with whatever record they were working on at the time, Metallica. And I said, hey, guess what? I'm a solo artist now. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going on tour like next week.
Wow.
Within 2 weeks, I got the gig with Jagger, and just like everything it just blew up. It was quite a year.
It must have been a real sort of snowball for you, sort of pinching yourself going, how did I get here?
Yes. But it's funny, with all these moments that were very serious, like, pinch yourself moments, there were these funny moments that accompanied them. Like I remember getting the call. Like, I had a devastating call from my tour manager before I got the gig with Jagger, telling me that we were losing about $8,000 a week and the tour was going to end in shambles, and he had no idea what we were going to do. And I remember thinking, well, I'll play the next gig, tonight's gig, and then I'll figure something out tomorrow. And the next day I get a call from one of my old managers who says, "You're not going to believe this, but Mick Jagger is looking for a guitarist and your name came up." And we both laughed for about 3 minutes. Because, we're thinking like, well, I'm never going to get the gig. Yeah. But I said, I got to go, right? I just got to go because I got to shake Mick's hand and just hang out with him, see what it's like.
Too right.
But I did get the gig. And then at the end of that day, when I was kind of like hyperventilating, thinking like, oh my God, I got this gig with Mick Jagger. And Mick says to me like, "Hey, well, what are you doing here the next couple of days?" And I said, "Well, I'm playing at this little club, the Bottom Line, the next 2 nights. Why don't you come and, jam with us?" And he said, "Oh, okay, I'll be there. What night?" And I was like totally stunned. Like I was kidding. You know what I mean? The words came out of my mouth and I thought, oh, what an idiot. You just like asked Mick Jagger to like come to a club, But to his credit, he said yes, and he showed up and he just killed him that night. We did Red House by Hendrix, and it was great.
Can you imagine being in the audience and suddenly, Mick Jagger comes in, he says, "Oh, I was invited down by Joe Satriani," I mean, like, you would just be like, that doesn't happen every day.
No, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you how I introduced him. I said, "Okay, thank you very much. We want to play one more song, and I want to bring up a friend of mine. He's a singer. Give him a break." And they had no idea. They literally, because the news hadn't come out that I was playing with him, so they had no idea, and they thought, "Oh God, a singer! Like, who wants a singer?" Oh. And Mick comes, on stage. He's just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and slowly the look on their faces when they realize, that is Mick Jagger. Oh my God,
That's awesome.
That's so funny.
Now, you also because you've performed with a lot of pretty interesting artists. I'm going to bring an Australian connection back in here now. You sang backing vocals on Crowded House's first album.
Yes.
Now, you're famous for playing guitar and not really singing. Yeah. How did that happen?
It's the only time I've ever been paid to sing. I honestly, I think that is a firm, truthful statement. The producer of that album, Mitchell Fromm, he's an American, great musician, and we had known him because he came down to see my band, the Squares, play in San Francisco, maybe about 6 months prior to that particular recording. And we wanted him to sign us, to bring us to the label he was working for and produce our album. But he passed on us because we were, in fact, not that good, But he did like this thing I had going with the lead singer in my band where we sang vocals harmonized together, kind of like the Everly Brothers used to do, like in the late 50s, early 60s. And my bass player was a truly gifted singer, and I was just a guy who could hit the notes,
yes.
But I didn't really have a singer's tone. But he remembered the blend as being quite unusual and unknown to the general public. So I think that when the guys in Crowded House were looking for background vocalists, they didn't want to hire the LA cats who were on everybody's record, because it would be obvious that you hired those guys. So Mitchell said, "I know these two guys in San Francisco. No one's heard of them, and they sound really different together, and they'll blend in with you guys." So my singer Andy wound up singing with Neil on 6 of the tracks, all the hits actually. I wound up singing all the parts with the drummer. I forget the drummer's name.
Paul Hester.
Yes. So, Paul and I don't think he liked me very much, but I do remember we had to sing a lot on the same mic. Just 2 days of work. It was great to work with Mitchell. He was a really great producer, and we knew the songs were going to be hits. I mean, they were really, really beautiful songs.
Yeah. So let's talk about your brand new album that's coming up, and it's out. It's out now.
now. Yes.
What's with the space thing? And actually, let me ask another question first. Are you a comic book fan?
Well, of course. Look, I got my own comic book series, Crystal Planet, right here.
Oh, seriously, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yes. So my partner and I, Ned Evett, who I've known 5 years, he's a guitar player, singer-songwriter. And we got this idea about 8 years ago to start a company that would write science fiction stories and try to turn them into just about anything like animated shows or comic books or novels. And we've got about 25 properties now, but Crystal Planet's been taken up by Heavy Metal Magazine and Incendium out of London. And this is issue number 3. And then we'll have graphic novel, the first of 3 that comes out at the end of this year. So awesome. Yes, I mean, it's been
I'm a massive comic book fan. I just can't wait. I'm going to be buying those comics now.
We're going to have to. Yeah, we're going to have to.
Yes, please do. If you go to satriani.com, you'll find the links for all that kind of stuff. Or our social site.
How did you get the permission to use the Silver Surfer?
Okay, it's a long story. It's a funny one, but I'll try to make it short. I gave my first interview for the yet to be released album, Surfing with the Alien, which was not called Surfing with the Alien. It was called The Lords of Karma.
Right.
And it was a British journalist. And he was a great interview. He loved the record. And then at the very end, he said, before I go, I just want to let you know, I hate the title of the album. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And I thought, I really thought, that was like the last album anyone would ever let me make. So I thought, I got to change the title. So I called the record company and I said, you guys haven't printed those yet, have you? And it turned out they hadn't. Right. And they were fine with me changing the title. So right then and there, I'm on the phone with the production manager, Jim Kozlowski, who just happens to be 6'4" and has long platinum blonde hair. So I say to him, I go, look, I'm looking at the 10 songs. Surfing with the Alien is the funniest one. They'll know I have a sense of humor. Let's use that. So he says, well, we should put the Silver Surfer on the cover. I didn't know what he was talking about, but long story short, he was a fan. That used to be his nickname because of the way he looked. He lived down the block from Marvel Comics in Manhattan. So the next day he went down there and he said, how much is it going to cost us to license the image? And they were like, oh, we'll give it away because, we're almost out of business here.
Oh, really?
And so we signed a very lucrative licensing deal to get the image of the Silver Surfer being born for the cover. And that went on until Marvel started to get really powerful. And finally, they made us a deal that we could never say yes to because they wanted us out of using that image for all time. So we had to relinquish it.
So you can't use it anymore. It's gone.
Not to sell albums. Can't sell albums or T-shirts with that image anymore. So we came up with a better one. But they never copyrighted the Silver Surfer or anything except the board. That is the weirdest thing. The only thing that's I think trademarked is the actual surfboard. So anybody else out there wants to have fun with those images, go right ahead.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Okay. I've got to ask, okay, first of all, love the background, love the guitars, the amps. Anybody watching this on video and stuff like that will know exactly what I'm talking about. Look, the obvious question, do you live in a built-up area? And do you have good relations with your neighbours? Because looking at the size of those amps,
a lot of
I'll tell you what, a building has got to rock every time you switch them on.
Yeah, well, there's in this neighborhood, there's families and kids, and so there's a lot more racket from skateboarding than there is from guitar amps. Right. But they've, most of these, except for maybe the vintage Marshall, they've got master volumes, and I've got some power soak devices that can keep the volume down. I generally play really low volume unless I'm on stage, and then I turn it up really loud. I have to say, I admit it. I play really loud. I really love it. I do wear earplugs on stage, so it's a funny thing to do. Turn up loud and wear earplugs. You think I'd just take the earplugs out and turn down, but thing is, the drums are loud. Yeah, right. Yeah. Kenny Aronoff, Chad Smith. These guys are so damn loud. They're like 120 dB every time they hit the snare.
Wow.
So you got to turn those amps up if you want to play rock and roll, you know?
So do you have a favorite guitar?
Well, I have a favorite model, which is any one of these things that you can see over here.
Yep.
Here's like an in-between one. I can show you the red one. Alder body JS. We've been making JSs for 30 years. Saturate in the bridge, Sustainiac in the neck. So much fun.
Nice.
I just love the profile. It kind of feels like a vintage Strat neck in a way, but the guitar performs so well. Look at these cool knobs that a guy named Matt Savers made for me. They're Elephants of Mars knobs.
They're awesome.
It's crazy. But yeah, so I've got, chrome guitars, orange, purple,
what's the character on the white one?
The white one here, this one here, again, this would be one of the basswood body ones I did in 2016.
That's great.
Look at those guys.
That's awesome.
It's every time I'm playing, I look down and they're looking at my fingers like, "What are you playing?" So, but yeah, they this with the edge tremolo, they really allow me to just totally abuse the guitar and it stays in tune and sounds great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I love these guitars.
Love it.
Now you mentioned about the Elephants of Mars knobs there. Your imagery on the album looks great, but more importantly, the sound that is coming out of this new, especially Sahara. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a song.
Thank you so much. Do you know that you're talking about these amps behind me? I didn't use any of the amps on the album, although I intended to. But in the final mixing, we had all these choices on our Pro Tools session files of all the guitar tracks that I recorded. And song after song, the one that we picked was always the SansAmp plug-in guitar. So I, would plug directly into a Millennium Media mic preamp called an HV37, gets me right into Pro Tools. So I would record a pristine, totally clean direct guitar.
Yeah.
And then I would monitor with the SansAmp, and then I would record different versions of the SansAmp, which is a really old plugin from the 90s. It's not a modern modeling kind of thing. And when all those tracks went down to Greg and Eric in LA for mixing, they would take those tracks out, put them through, $50,000 Fairchild limiters and Les Paul's very own LA2A and beautiful tube EQs before bringing it back into Pro Tools. And the thing those guitar tracks from super clean to really distorted, they just got huge sounding. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
I was really shocked. And it was really a journey of discovery, just that plugin would bring more of my personality out onto the album.
Nice.
Yeah. And you can certainly hear it too. I mean, what an incredible sound on Sahara. And we're going to be playing that one when we finish this interview because it is fantastic. The other song that I think is worth mentioning, or there's two. One is the track Faceless. That to me really sort of talks about what we've been through over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah. It wasn't originally about that. It was really, I think I was sort of inspired by being outside in my neighborhood in San Francisco and all of us being covered up all of a sudden. And I started to think about that in a sort of a tangential way. And I thought it really is devastating when you feel that the person who you really desire to know you for who you really are, for some reason doesn't see you that way. They see a generic person. You become faceless to them. Yeah. And I thought, wow, what if that was, your group of friends or your community or the country where you grow up, or maybe you feel like an alien on the planet, There's so many different ways that you can think that when you become faceless, it's really something that hurts us as human beings. We need to be seen for who we really are. It's like this desire we have for people to know the real us, And so that's what that song was really about.
But how often does that happen? Artists put together an amazing track or even a storyline or something like that, which means one thing at the time to them personally, but years later, it takes on an entire new meaning as the listener, the purchaser of whatever it is they're viewing or listening to, engages with it and adds their own personal lifetime-based overlays and everything like that. I mean, it happens all the time.
Yes, it does. When you give your music to the world, it gets reinterpreted in a billion different ways. You can never control that.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I'd written a song that started with me just trying to come to terms with my father's death, and it was really seen as a romantic song by the fans, and I didn't want to spoil it for them,
Sure.
And I remember about a year later, we were on tour in Europe, and we found that there was a German sports program that focused on European football. And they were called Ron, and they invited us on the program to play the song because they had been using the song on their weekly telecast, showing the highlights of soccer that week.
Right.
And, I just remember, this is so weird. My father would be laughing at, at the absurdity of it all, but he'd think it was funny too.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Now, look, we know you've got to go. You've got a big lineup of other interviews that you've got to do as well. Yeah. Before we go, vinyl, digital, CD, like where can people get the hold of the vinyl versions of this album?
Oh, yeah. There's regular CDs. There's a Digipack CD that I haven't received myself yet. There's a double vinyl package that's great that comes with this really weird picture of me with a backpack.
That's great.
Every picture of me is weird, so that's no surprise. Pink vinyl. There's pink, orange, purple, and black. And of course you can stream it, download it any way you want. Of course, Ear Music has made it available in every possible format, so that's fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on The Bad Boys, and we're going to finish with your brand new song, Sahara.
Great. Thank you, Bad Boys.
Cheers. It's been a pleasure having you, mate, really.
All right.
Thanks, Joe. If you like your nuts being gently cupped by an angel, then Man Up Down Under are the duds for you. Environmentally friendly with bamboo inserts that are soft, strong, and lifts your weight with ease. Longer in the legs so they stay put. They're cool in summer and warmer when it matters. Man Up Down Under, underwear your girl will want to see you in and that you won't want to take off. Go to manupdownunder.com.au and buy a week's supply for your package because your junk deserves the very best. This is the Bad Boys Podcast.
Welcome back to the Bad Boys. Oh my God, I am starstruck. What a great guy.
I know you were starstruck. Like
I was a little bit.
I gotta say,
wasn't I?
I gotta say, the first 5 minutes of the it was, you were like a kid in a candy store. I'll have this one. I'll have this one. I'll have this one. I'll have this one. I don't think you actually took a breath for about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's like I nearly wanted to interrupt and say, "Hey Andrew, how about we let Mr. Satriani speak?"
Yeah, look. It was so cool to talk to him. What a great guy, though. What a down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
And you're happy to share and all that sort of stuff. I had to ask him. I had to ask him about those really cool amplifiers and all the cool guitars that he's got.
Yeah.
I just, loved it.
Amazing. And what a great
Fabulous.
guy. Yeah.
Tell you what, I'm on a high after that. I really am.
I know. Hey, there's a bit of a serious situation that's happening right now.
Right.
That in Disney, well, in Florida, and Disney is embroiled right in the middle of it. It's so much to the point where there are pickets, there are crazy Christian ladies, outside harassing people. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting story to watch. But what has actually happened is in Florida, they have just introduced a law that you can't say gay. You can't say gay at schools to anyone under sort of grade 3.
Right. So just to clarify that, so the school is legislatively banned or not allowed to talk about trans, homosexuality, all that sort of stuff to kids in year 3 and below.
Exactly. Because
and I think the argument to that is, though, somewhere broadly along the lines of, a 3-year-old is like an 8-year-old. Sorry, a year 3 is somewhere around an 8, maybe 9-year-old, and or maybe even 10, depending on,
right.
And the thought process is they're not sexual beings by that stage. They don't become sexual beings until they're kind of well into their puberty and stuff. Am I getting that right?
Yes, but haven't we gone past this whole? Well, there are families that have double. They're like same-sex partners. How do those kids
2 months,
go?
Yep.
How do those kids go?
Yeah, see, this is the interesting thing. So I think the laws, because they can't control what the parents talk about in their own homes. Mm. They can't control what society talks about, but they can control what the schools educate on. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think what they're trying to do is some people have got issues with the school system and stuff like that trying to overly sexualize through discussion kids that aren't ready for that aspect of discussion yet.
Okay,
but then again, sex education. Sex education is important at the young age as well because that's where it sinks in.
But kids at that age, right? It is goes on record that kids at that age are starting to question their own sexuality. They're starting to question.
Sure. Why do I think about things differently?
Why do I think about things differently? Exactly. And so the big question is, if they are starting to have those conversations in the playground, how are the teachers going to handle the conversations that come up? Because they will come up, right? They will 100% come up. What's actually happening in Florida is you've got these fundamental Christians that are now in Parliament that are now saying, well, they can't pray the gay away, so let's just not talk about it anymore, right? And so they put these laws through.
Yeah, look, honestly, I'm in two minds about the whole thing. In all seriousness with you, I'm in two minds. I don't understand the subject well enough. All my kids are 16, 17, 18, 3 boys. Was I having those discussions with them in year 3 or year 2 or year 1? No, of course not, because in my mind,
but we've changed.
That's insane. But
society has changed.
I'm in a very nuclear family kind of situation as well. You know what I mean? Like, You know, I'm in a heterosexual relationship that's in a happy home, and although I have had a divorce in the past and stuff like that, we've all moved on from that. So look, it's difficult for me to.
But what if you were in a happy homosexual relationship at home?
What if I was?
What if you were? What if you were? And you fronted up at school.
Well, to me, it would be no different to being in a happy heterosexual relationship.
Right,
like it'd just be every day.
And you fronted up at school, right? And the teachers, do we actually acknowledge you because you know we can't talk about the fact that you know Johnny has two dads or two mums.
Mm.
It's a really difficult situation. And the other thing is, and this is where Disney's come into the whole picture. There is a push by the LGBT community to say in all shows, TV shows, movies, cartoons, even we want to be represented, you know, correctly, and we want to be acknowledged, basically. So
look, I don't have an issue with that, provided it works within the storyline. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, but Black Panther. Let's talk about Black Panther for a second, right? I don't know if there's any sexual thing going on in Black Panther. You know, that's not the point. You wouldn't go and get yourself a red-headed Irishman to play the role, would you?
No.
Right. So that it's like the point I'm making. Like, you wouldn't go and get a red-headed Irishman to play the role of, you know, The Rock, for instance, if you were doing a biopic of his life. It's just, I agree that representation is important when it is appropriate for the way the storyline is. Don't go changing storylines just so you can insert a gay couple or a trans, you know, person or whatever.
I think you're oversimplifying it way too much, because here's the issue is that for too long in the media, if there is a relationship that is portrayed on screen, it has to be between a man and a woman. It can't be between two women or two men, right? So that is now changing. That is now changing.
Sure it is.
In the Buzz Lightyear movie that's coming out, there is a homosexual kiss, right?
But what, between Buzz and?
I think so. Yes.
Wow, there you go. I haven't seen that one. All
now,
right.
you know.
Hey, look, and if that's what Buzz wants to do, good luck to him.
But my point is that it is being represented in the media, and Disney is at the forefront of that push, because in a lot of Disney shows they're doing this now. Now, the biggest issue is, right, that the LGBTQ community thought that Disney were going to come to the rescue with this whole Florida case and say, actually, we're one of the biggest companies in Florida. You do this and you won't have our support. But it was radio silence. Radio silence. They didn't do a thing. And in fact, even considered at one point removing the kiss from the Buzz Lightyear movie.
Okay.
Well, let's just say that opened up the biggest shitstorm that Disney did not need, with people walking
with all due
out.
respect, a lot of people doing the whole cancel Disney thing because of some of the imagery they themselves are drawing up and portraying.
Yeah, but
like the big penis in Minnie's dress.
Okay. That is a given. But I mean the discussion and the discussion is not about that, right now. That's not what the discussion is about. The discussion is about the gay representation, right? And just by even mentioning that, right, that's exactly what the Christians have done. That is exactly what the Christians have done.
Those nutbags also think that because you're homosexual, you're also a pedophile. Like, it doesn't work that way.
And
that's just fucking madness.
And that is part of the problem. There's a lady that they took a video of. I mean, it's right there, right in black and white. She has gone gays and pedophiles. I mean,
right.
What the fuck?
Look, at every disco, there's a bunch of crazy fucking idiots who have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, she's one of them.
But people who want to run around cancel things, Disney's their current target. What's bloody next? Marvel?
Well, yes and no. I think that what's happened with Disney is going to actually have repercussions right throughout the film industry, right throughout the entertainment industry. I think that everyone is going to be really careful now with what they say and what they do, simply because if there was any company that was going to show the world that they stood up for the LGBT community, right, it was going to be Disney. And that didn't happen fast enough at all. So,
okay, so tell me what you think. I think sometimes people just need time to adjust. And I think sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I'm fully supportive of the LGBTQI community. I think everybody's got a right to believe what they want to believe. Everybody has the right to identify how they want to identify. Do I always get it right? No, I don't. You know, again, my life experience is based around a heterosexual viewpoint. Have I had clients and stuff like that fit within that LGBTQI range or banner or, you know, whatever you want to call it? Yes, I have. I've had many. And, you know, I help them in the best way I possibly can, but I make it clear to them as well, you know, you've got every right to believe, think, and be whatever you want to be as far as I'm concerned. And I will always respect that. Will I always get it right? No, I won't. So I think sometimes in a lot of aspects as well, the LGBTQI community is forcing their thoughts and viewpoints on people who haven't yet kind of figured it out themselves.
No,
and look, maybe I'm oversimplifying. It's probably very likely.
I think you are. I think that the last 5 or 10 years, there's been a lot of advancements in people's thinking and people's attitudes. You know,
including my own. I'll be the first to admit that, including my own. I'm
going to say, I'm going to go on the record here and say that I grew up in a town where there were gay bashings that were happening in the park in town, right?
Yep.
I mean, like,
me too.
Horrific stuff. So
I grew up in Canberra, one of the most conservative towns in all of Australia, and probably still is.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Rockhampton where they did pig hunting as well. But anyway, that's another story. But 20 years on, it started to change. Another 20 years brings us to now. I think that it is very much accepted. You don't look twice. You don't go, okay, I wasn't expecting that, because you do expect it now.
No, you're right. No, yep, you don't.
What has happened in Florida is going to set back Florida. I don't know whether the rest of America agrees or not. I don't think they do, but it's going to set back Florida 20 years because they're now back at the start.
Yeah, look, it's very interesting. And look, maybe it's due. Maybe it's time. You know, maybe these big organisations that haven't yet figured out where they are on this subject, maybe it's time for them to feel a bit of the pain and it'll push them along a little bit to get their act together. And again, as far as I'm concerned, they've got, like any person or individual, I think a corporation, by the people that it hires in its executives and in its board, are well within their rights to choose their position on whatever platform.
Yeah.
But like with every choice, there is always a consequence. And I think, you know, Disney's perhaps made some choices and there's a consequence to that. Look, either way, you're never going to make everybody happy. It's not physically possible.
Disney made choices early on. In their you know, movie and entertainment and they openly accepted the LGBT community to the point where they said there was a mandate that was passed that they were going to represent LGBTQ in all of the you know, shows and everything that were coming out, superhero shows, whatever, you know. Raven. So the whole cast of Raven walked out, right, which is one of their biggest shows.
Oh, right. I hadn't heard about that one.
Yeah, completely walked out. Okay. Because you know, they are very big on representing, you know, the whole gay community. And they and because Disney didn't jump up and down and say this shouldn't happen, there was a gap, there was like a breath, a pause. They went, well, hang on a second. Where do we actually sit in this then? Do you actually agree or not?
So tell me something. The Democrats in America are fully supportive of the whole LGBTQI, I don't even know what you call it. Let's call it a platform. It's probably not the right word, but anyway. And then the Republicans, which are often branded as ultra-conservatives.
Yeah.
Are they are the Republic?
Yes.
Is this a political thing? Are the Republicans pushing it, or is this just literally Bible Belt Christian going, "Oh my God, homosexuality is the act of the devil" type of crap?
Yeah, well, it is. I think it is the conservatives, right?
Right. Okay.
The stunning claim that happened with this was that Pixar, okay, who is part of Disney, received a letter from Disney saying that they demanded cuts from the any movies that were coming up, right? Which any of the cartoon movies that would cater directly for these kids, right? The grade 3 and under. And they said, we want to cut any overtly gay affection out of those movies, right? So that was what happened, and they saw it, and it's been seen, and it's very obvious it was seen as Disney's response to the Don't Say Gay bill. Now,
right. So Disney were then going along with the Don't Say Gay bill.
Yes, for a hot minute. And then it changed.
So do you think it'd be different if Disney actually alternatively said, I want to cut out all sexualization? Straight, gay, bi, in trans, whatever.
Yes, and
if they cut all sexualization out of movies that are catered to the 10-year-olds and below,
yes,
that in itself would have been a better approach.
Because then what they're saying right now is it's okay to see a kiss on screen or to see affection on screen if it's between a man and a woman. Oh, because of the Don't Say Gay bill. Boom. There you go, right there.
Right. That's a very clear message.
That is a really clear message, and it's going to affect a lot of people. Now, they've since backtracked. Okay? They've backtracked, but they didn't do it fast enough.
Look, if you ask me, if any government has issues with the over-sexualisation of kids under the age of 10, which, look, I'm a bit of a conservative mind there. I kind of struggle with it as well. But that's not a separation between straight and gay or bi or anything like that. It's just, to me, under the ages of 10, they just shouldn't be sexualised at all. And if that's the case, you can cut out pageants.
Yep.
You can cut out advertising for underwear, for kids and stuff like that, and all these other sorts of things that go wrong. I think that they. Look, I don't know.
It's really opened up a can of worms, and I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we haven't heard the end of this, and I think that Disney's done a lot of damage. That was an interesting discussion. Right.
Look, why
That's
not?
what Bad Boys
why
is
not
all
get
about.
into it?
Let's just get into it every now and then.
Right, too bloody right. Yep.
Well, anyway.
Completely agree.
So, coming up next week, we have Rick Price. We might even get him on Easter Saturday. He might be wearing a bunny suit. Who knows?
That's fabulous. And you're interviewing him as well, aren't you? You're having a chat.
Yes, I'm having a chat with Rick. I can't wait, actually. I think that's going to be amazing.
I bet.
He's actually doing a Soulville tour. It's going to be a great tour around Australia. I remember seeing him in concert with Tina Arena. I'm sure he doesn't want to hear that. I'm sure that when I mention that, he'll be like, oh, God, did you have to bring up the 80s or 90s or whenever it was?
Yeah, right.
I thought I'd gotten over that.
In the 80s and 90s, I think I was still blowing hot air through a clarinet in a lemon yellow suit in a church band, God help us.
That's it. Yeah, make sure you follow us on our social media, which is Official Bad Boys Podcast. And also head over to TikTok, search for the Bad Boys Podcast. You'll find us on there. And Andrew's going to be putting up a whole bunch of videos. He's going to go
That's
to
right,
town.
me doing some dances in G-strings. God help the world.
That's it.
And look, if you want to listen to some great music because you're sick of the shit that's on radio and all that sort of stuff at the moment, go to badboysfm.com. Great music with attitude for everybody on the planet. So badboysfm.com.
Well, those who like to
Good
rock
stuff.
anyway.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
If you don't like to rock. Go somewhere else. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Have fun. Take care.
Press plus or follow to hear more great episodes from the Bad Boys. Or check us out on our social media at Official Bad Boys Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram.